The night this all happened, I was in Aberdeen, already blackout drunk before the sun had even gone down. I had a few too many blackout drunk, walking disaster drunk, the kind of drunk where you wake up and discover you've somehow acquired things you absolutely should not have. I don't know what my day looked like before the blackout hit, but when I finally came to, I reached into my jacket and felt a large rock of MDMA. I checked a pocket and found 10 tabs of acid. And for reasons I still cannot explain, I also had a quite large knife tucked in the waistband of my joggers. I had no clue where I was, no clue what I was supposed to be doing, and no clue how I'd gotten there. But I did what drunk me always does when the world starts spinning. I stumbled outside, pulled out my phone, and called my driver. I told him to find me and pick me up before I made my night worse than it already was. But for some reason, in the middle of all this chaos, I decided that what I really needed was company. Female company. I started scrolling through my contacts until I hit the name of a girl I'd only met once, Shan. Now, I didn't exactly leave the best impression on Shan the first time we met. Her cat got too close to me while I was high, I panicked and accidentally punched it. She fed me lettuce as if that would calm me down. Then we never spoke again. Still, blackout logic told me she might want to come over. So I called her. And to my surprise, she agreed. My driver picked us both up, and we eventually got back to my tiny bungalow. Shan wasn't in a good place that night. Her grandfather had passed away just hours earlier. She was shaken, quiet, and clearly grieving. We sat down on my terrible council-issue sofa and shared a few more drinks. The more I drank, the more I felt it. That pressure in my stomach. The kind of feeling that says, you won't last long before you're spewing. But instead of slowing down or stopping, I made the worst decision of the night. I suggested we take MDMA. She hesitated. I insisted. And finally, she agreed. But the worst decision wasn't the MDMA. It was that moment when I remembered I had the acid. For reasons I still can't understand, we decided that night, that very night, would be our first time taking acid. Most people start with a half tab. Maybe one if they're feeling bold, not us. We took one each and waited. Nothing happened. I started getting annoyed, convinced they were duds. I called my boy, slurring into the phone. These tabs are shite, man. Nothing's happening. He immediately snapped. They're not duds. They take over an hour. Do not take more. I hung up before he finished speaking, and I took another. She followed. When nothing happened again, we took another. And another. By the time my friend called back screaming at me, we had already taken 5 tabs each. 5. At 250 micrograms per tab, 1,000 micrograms in our systems. We sat there laughing at nonsense on our phones, Googling ginger albinos for reasons I will never understand. And then, slowly, it hit. The visuals began behind her. The blinds covering the window started glowing as if car headlights were coming through. Except the window faced the back garden. No cars back there. Yet the light kept shifting, changing colors, breathing almost. I looked at Sean and asked, "Are you feeling anything yet?" She said no, but her eyes kept darting. Her breathing quickened. Her hands twitched. She was tripping, no question about it. After a long silence, the acid hit me full force. The wallpaper behind her, a tiny, ugly floral pattern, peeled itself loose from reality. The pattern began sliding down the wall like melting paint. Then it rewound itself upward, like reality was a VHS tape someone kept fast-forwarding and rewinding. I blinked hard. It didn't stop. "I'm tripping like fuck," I finally whispered. She jolted upright and yelled, "Same!" Her face lit up with a manic grin that I knew wasn't really her. It was the acid. I asked what she was seeing. She giggled uncontrollably and said, "Little aliens everywhere." That alone nearly broke my brain. Then the sound hit, a low, distant hum, followed by a sudden, violent whoosh like a jet engine nosediving straight at the roof of the house. Every time it reached the top of the house, the sound cut abruptly, then started again, over and over. The visuals got darker, more intense. I looked at Sean, and her skin changed. Her arms rippled like a field of tall grass bending in the wind. And beneath the waves of grass, I saw her veins, her bones, shifting back and forth. It was the most haunting thing I had ever seen. We sat frozen for hours, unable to stand, unable to look away from the madness in front of us. Eventually, around 5 in the morning, we realized we both needed the toilet. Standing felt like our bodies were made of soft clay. Walking felt like someone was heating us with a blow dryer, melting us with every step. It took 10 minutes to walk 10 steps. She went first, then disappeared into the house, leaving me alone in the bathroom, terrified of the shadows and the cold tile walls. I tried to stand and pee, but couldn't, so I sat. And then I felt the nausea return. I started vomiting violently. So violently, it felt like the acid tabs themselves were expanding inside me and forcing their way out. I saw colors, shapes, impossible patterns in what I threw up. I choked, gagged, scraped at the sink for balance, barely holding myself together. When it finally stopped, I felt even worse. Not physically, mentally. The world was tearing itself apart around me. Sean and I, we tried to distract ourselves. We crossed a line that blurred reality and hallucination. It felt like our bodies weren't separate anymore. Like we were melting into each other. Like clay merging into one shape. It was terrifying and intoxicating and wrong all at once. When the sun rose, she remembered she had a meeting for a flat that morning. She left without hesitation, still tripping, having no idea where she was. She had never been to this town before. She didn't know the trains, the streets, anything. And I let her walk out the back door in that state. For the next half day, I spiraled. I convinced myself she was dead, lost, frozen, hit by a car, arrested, anything, everything. My mind kept replaying the plane noise, the shifting lights, the melting walls. I tried to shower to calm down, but the moment the water hit my skin, it felt like acid. Not burning, but staining me. Like the water itself was dyeing my skin. I sat on the shower's wall-mounted seat, and time dissolved. 6 hours passed in what felt like one looping, endless thought. Like I was a drinking bird toy bobbing into a glass over and over, unable to stop. When I finally pulled myself out, I couldn't get dressed. I managed one sock, boxers, and a dressing gown. That was it. And even that felt like a battle. The wallpaper still moved, the lights still pulsed. The sound of the plane still repeated, drilling into my skull. I tried to watch Netflix. Love, Death and Robots. The animation warped with the acid. Characters pulsed, scenes stretched, colors melted into each other. At 8 that night, still fully tripping, I sat rocking back and forth, trying to will myself sober. I was terrified of every noise, terrified to sleep, terrified to stay awake. I stayed up until morning, mind fractured, exhausted, stuck in patterns I couldn't escape. At some point, I fell asleep. And when I woke, everything was different. I felt calm, clear, lighter than I had in years, almost reborn. And somehow, through all of that madness, I realized something. The anxiety I carried for so long, the depression that lived in my chest like a weight, it was gone. The trip broke something open inside me, and for the first time in my life, I felt free. I wouldn't recommend what I did. I wouldn't repeat it. I wouldn't want anyone to go through the terror, the confusion, the loneliness of that night. but it changed me.